90 years old, in a rocket, not a TV set, real space. Have you heard this story? Before I say the number, can you guess how old he was when he flew to space? Drop your guess below. I'm Sarah Reed, and you're watching Golden American Legends. In October of 2021, William Shatner, yes, Captain Kirk himself, boarded Blue Origin's New Shepard in West Texas. The capsule rose, crossed the edge of space, and returned in about 11 minutes. At 90, he became the oldest person ever to go to space at the time. Headlines shouted, "Captain Kirk blasts into space," and even people who never watched Star Trek did a double take. We dug into flight logs and his post-flight interview to get this right. The date was October 13th, 2021. The ride was suborbital, it was short, but it was huge, and it raised a big question for me. How does a person become so tied to space that the world cheers when he finally goes? Shatner didn't start on a starship, he started on a stage. So let's rewind. Who was this Montreal kid, born in 1931, before he wore the gold tunic and said, "Fire phasers"? The road to Kirk begins far from the stars. Let's go back. Who was William Shatner before the starship? Picture Montreal in the 1930s and 40s, a kid who loved stories. He studied at McGill University, he trained as a performer and chased the stage. In the 1950s, he worked in Canadian theater, then took chances in New York. He earned roles, learned craft, and kept showing up. That steady grind mattered. He wasn't famous yet, but the habits were there. Hit your mark, find the beat, tell the story. I pulled old playbill scans and TV listings from the 1950s to trace those steps. The trail runs from stage work to early television. Shatner popped up on anthology shows where one week you were a cowboy, the next week a spy. And then came a big hint of what was coming: classic science fiction. He made memorable stops on the Twilight Zone, the kind of tales where a glance and a pause could change everything. You can feel the actor learning how to hold a room even through a tiny screen. By the early 1960s, he was on the radar in the States. Casting directors took notice. A new series was forming. It needed a captain. And in 1966, the call came. In 1966, lightning struck. Gene Roddenberry's new show Star Trek needed a leader. William Shatner stepped in as Captain James T. Kirk, commander of the USS Enterprise. For 3 seasons, from 1966 to 1969, he led all 79 episodes. The show's heart was big: explore, learn, choose hope. Kirk carried that spirit with a smile, a stare, and sometimes a playful swing of the chair. I looked at fan archives and old network notes to tally it all. Shatner didn't just appear on a sci-fi show, he helped define TV sci-fi. He became synonymous with space voyages on screen. And when the series left the air, reruns built a fandom that would not quit. The Enterprise kept flying on movie screens. Shatner returned as Kirk in 7 feature films, from 1979 through 1994. That is rare staying power. He was the face of a future people wanted to believe in. Young viewers grew into engineers, astronauts, and storytellers. Many say Kirk helped light that spark. But what happens when your most famous ship powers down? Do you fade away or find a new course? When Star Trek closed one door, Shatner opened several others. Let's see where he went next. Did he disappear after the Enterprise? Not a chance. Shatner reinvented. In the 1980s, he put on a police uniform for T.J. Hooker. It was full of action, car chases, and straight-ahead hero work. Different from space, but still bold. He showed he could lead a show without a phaser in sight. He also leaned into humor. On Saturday Night Live, he played with his own image in the famous Get a Life convention sketch. He kept that wink alive in films like Miss Congeniality, where he happily stole scenes. And then came a late career twist: prestige drama. In the mid-2000s, he played Denny Crane, a charming, chaotic lawyer on The Practice and Boston Legal. The result? 2 Emmy wins for that role, and a whole new generation said, "Wait, Shatner is great." We combed his TV credits and award records to chart that path. The lesson is simple. He refused to be one thing. He said yes, tried new tones, and let the audience see him in fresh light. But acting wasn't the only lane he took. Off-screen, he stayed busy too. The next frontier wasn't a set. It was every stage, page, and studio he could find. Here's the fun part. Shatner doesn't stop at acting. He writes, he sings, he tells stories in any form that will hold them. He has authored many books, memoirs, and fiction, often teaming with Judith and Garfield Reeves-Stevens on Star Trek adventures. In 2018, he shared more of himself in a memoir with that classic wink in the title, Live Long End. He records albums too. In 2004, he worked with Ben Folds on Has Been, turning spoken word into performance rock. His theatrical spin on songs, even a wild Bohemian Rhapsody, shows how he treats every word like a spotlight. He has toured a one-man show, Shatner's World, told stories on stage, and voiced docs and cartoons. He embraces camp when it's fun. He dives deep when it matters. We scanned publishing lists and album notes to map it out. The pattern is clear. He keeps moving. He tries the odd thing on purpose, and he lets you laugh with him, not at him. That fearless curiosity, on and off camera, kept him current for decades. Still, there was one place he'd never gone for real: space itself. That was the final, actual frontier waiting ahead. You know that voice the moment you hear it. The Shatner pause, the dramatic beats, the swagger. It's been parodied on late-night shows, in cartoons, and across the internet. But here's the secret. He plays along. He makes fun of himself first. That's why it works. As the long-running face of Priceline's negotiator, he turned a simple ad gig into a character people quoted at work the next day. Get a Life followed him from sketch comedy into catchphrase legend. He shows up, winks, and steals the moment. And because he leans in, the memes feel like tributes, not takedowns. We checked ad archives and old campaigns to track how often he popped up. The answer? A lot, across decades. If you're enjoying this deep dive into classic stars who shaped our screens, hit subscribe for more stories just like this. Tap like and share so other fans find it too. Now, here's the twist in our tale. For all those years of on-screen space travel, Shatner had never actually left Earth. Not once. That would change in 2021. The countdown was real. The rocket was ready. The legend was about to meet the sky for real. Then came launch day, October 13th, 2021, West Texas. Blue Origin's New Shepard stood on the pad. William Shatner took his seat with 3 other civilian flyers. Liftoff, a clean climb. The rocket boosted the capsule above the edge of space, past the line where the blue thins into black. Weightlessness, windows full of Earth. After about 11 minutes, parachutes bloomed and they touched down in the desert. At 90, Shatner became the oldest person ever to go to space at that time. Media everywhere lit up with the headline, "Star Trek's Captain Kirk blasts into space." We reviewed Blue Origin press releases and mission briefings to confirm the timeline and records. The profile was simple, but the meaning was huge. This wasn't a movie. This was a real flight, a real body, a real senior citizen taking a giant personal leap. The hug on landing, the shock on his face, those were not scripted. The whole moment crossed from pop culture into history. But the flight is only half the story. What mattered most is what he felt when he looked down at our planet. His words after landing stopped people in their tracks. "What you have given me is the most profound experience." That's what Shatner said after he climbed out of the capsule. He was shaking. He was in tears. He added, "I hope I never recover from this. I don't want to lose it." Then he tried to explain the shock. He spoke about the thin blue we live under, a covering, a blanket over all of us. And then, in an instant, it was gone, blue to black. He called that jump like death. He even said he saw black ugliness. It was raw and honest, not a performance. We synced his live remarks with official mission transcripts to make sure the quotes were right and in context. He kept repeating one line that still gives me chills. "Everybody in the world needs to do this, needs to see." That's not a brag, that's a plea. He wanted us to feel the fragility and the focus that came with that view. Fiction met reality in those minutes. Captain Kirk had finally seen what he'd pretended to see for years. So what does that mean for his legacy now? Let's tie it together. So why does this still matter? Because Shatner's story says curiosity wins. He went from a young actor on small stages to a captain who defined TV sci-fi, and then at 90 to a real space traveler. At the time of his flight, he set the age record. He also set a tone. Try new things, laugh at yourself, keep moving forward. He even jokes that he's the daddy of sci-fi fans now because he actually did it. I see something else too. The optimism of classic Star Trek flows right into today's reality. Engineers who grew up on Kirk built rockets that took Kirk's actor to the edge of space. That is a loop of culture and science you can feel. We looked at fan forums and expert commentary to read the room, and the message was clear. The legend endures. Here on Golden American Legends, that's what I love most, when a past icon still pushes us to look up. The next frontier for Shatner might not be higher, it might be deeper. More stories, more ideas, more wonder. So what do we learn from that arc? Here's my take. Here's my takeaway. William Shatner shows us that reinvention is a choice you can make again and again. From Montreal stages to the bridge of the Enterprise to the edge of space, he keeps saying yes. He's been performing for roughly 70 years. That kind of span doesn't happen by accident. It happens with courage, craft, and a little mischief. We covered the facts, checked flight archives, and paged through classic TV history to build this story. And I hope it made you smile and think. Which part of Shatner's journey impressed you most, and why? I want to hear your take. Thanks for watching. If you had fun on this ride, please subscribe for more deep dives and share this video with a friend who loves classic legends. Drop a like so the algorithm knows we're alive out here, and tell me in the comments what icon you want me to cover next. I'm Sarah Reed. Stay curious, take bold steps, and in the spirit of the captain, live long and prosper. Thanks for watching.